गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। See, we must understand the meaning of Upanishad in the very beginning. It is said, Vedanto nama Upanishad pramanam. Upanishad is Vedanta. And Vedanta means Vedanam anta means final declaration or final knowledge or ultimate knowledge given in the Vedas is called Vedanta. Anta doesn't mean the last chapter or last book. Anta means final truth. So in Upanishad, that ultimate truth has been revealed. Therefore, this Upanishad is Vedanta. And this Upanishad is Pramana. Pramana means of knowledge. For knowing anything, I need one means. Suppose if I have to see the color of flower, by touch I cannot see the color, or by smelling I cannot see the color. To know the color of flower, I must have one praman, one means of knowledge, and that is eyes. Through eyes only I can understand how much is the size of flower, what is the color of that flower. Similarly, to know the nature of truth, to understand what is the ultimate reality, the only praman is Vedanta or Upanishad. So all Upanishad, they talk about one reality, and that reality is called Brahman. So in Kenopanishad also, same topic has been revealed, or same Brahman has been explained. Now, Kenopanishad means, Ken means by whom, propelled by whom, inspired by whom. Our sense organs, they function. From one question, this Upanishad begins. Since the first word of this Upanishad is Kena, Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Mana, therefore the name of Upanishad is given as Kenopanishad. Now you all know Upanishad is a dialogue between teacher and taught. Guru Shishya Samvada. Generally, in our house, we don't have Samvad, we have Vivad, arguments. But in Bhagavad Gita, we find Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvad, not Sri Krishna Arjuna Vivad. We are more familiar with Vivad. So here, Samvad is there, and Samvad means when one person is talking, other person is listening. And listener has got a lot of faith and love for teacher. And teacher also has got love towards a student. Now in this Upanishad, the name of teacher or the name of student is not given. Like in Kathopanishad, names are given, Yamaraj and Nachiketa. Like in Mundakopanishad also, name is given, Shaunak and Angiras, Shaunako Havai Mahashala. Like that it comes. In Bhagavad Gita we know Arjuna and Krishna. But here they are not known. Pujya Gurudev used to say that they are so much immersed in that knowledge, so they don't write their names. They are least bothered about their name and address and all that. They are completely engrossed in understanding knowledge. Now, the first mantra is actually question. And again, if you see the questions in Upanishad, they are not ordinary questions. They are not common man's question. Generally, people ask about their family and money and wealth and property and worldly things. But here the question itself is so subtle. Here the student wants to know that all my sense organs and mind, they are all functioning. But who is behind them? Willed by whom? Propelled by whom? All these sense organs are functioning. Kene shitam patati preshitam mana, kena prana pratama praiti yukta. Kene shitam vacham imam vadanti. Chakshusrotram kau devo yunakti. Now, please note here that he is not asking what is sense organs or what is mind. Please tell me how to quieten the mind. How can I make my mind peaceful? This is not the question of Upanishadic student. Already he has quietened the mind. He has got control over sense organs. So he is not asking how to control sense organs. His question is little deeper, more subtle. He says, I know mind, I know my mind, I know my sense organs, but I don't know how they are functioning. Why they are, perceiving different things. Who is behind them? What is the entity which is causing them function? So this is the question. Many times people don't understand question itself. And here one word is very important. Kene shitam. Ishita word is there. Ishis means willed by whom? Not that somebody is sitting inside and is giving command and order and then my mind and sense organs are functioning. Not that way. He assumed that somebody is there and just by willing, just by wishing, all these things are active and becoming active and working. Just by will. Will means just by its presence. That is the meaning. Now he wants to know what is that. By mere presence, all these or sense organs and mind, they are working. So Ishitam word indicates presence. This is the very important point. So now when teacher heard this question, he was very happy. Naturally he will be happy because this question itself is so subtle. But the answer is not direct. That okay, this is the thing because of which eyes are seeing and ears are listening. No. He gave answer in a very mystic way. He says, Srotrasya srotram, manaso manoyat, vachoho vacham, saupranasya prana, chakshushash chakshu, atimuchya dhira. So, instead of saying that there is one thing which is behind all these organs and mind, actually he confuses more to the student. He says there is one more ear, ear to ear. Ear of ear, eye of eye. Now, we will have to think about it. What is the meaning here? Why he doesn't say that there is one Atma? And because of that, all these things are functioning. instead of saying Atma, he says Srotrasya Srotram. First point he wants to tell that, see, all these organs, they are not functioning by their own. There is something which is subtler than all these organs and mind. Now, he doesn't have idea that what can be that thing. That's why, in a very mystical language, he replies. Our Guruji used to give an example that somebody is asking, what is electricity? Now, he has no idea. He is only seeing that bulb is illuminated. Tube light is illuminated. So, he can reply that electricity is bulbasya bulba. Jokingly he used to say. Bulbasya bulba, tube lightasya tube lighter. Heaterasya heater, meaning what? There is something which is sukshma, which cannot be described in name and form. That's why this answer is given. It is not like a table or chair or TV or some object. He is talking about subject, and that subject doesn't have any name, form, color, size, shape. That's why he gives answer in such a way. And then further he elaborates upon this point and he says, Na tatra chakshur gacchati na vak gacchati no mano na vidma na vijanim. He says you cannot see through eyes, you cannot listen through your ears, you cannot speak about that. Navak gacchati. Not even mind can comprehend that. Not even mind can create one, idea about that. It is beyond mind. Manaso manoyat. Now that student, he is confused. He said, please tell me something. Because it is very abstract. Actually, the theme of Upanishad is abstract only. It is not gross, it is not solid like any other object which we see in this world. It is subtler than the subtlest. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan. Like Tukaram Maharaj also said, Anoraniya thokada tuka akasha yevada. So, it cannot be described. See, generally, Shankaracharya in his commentary, he said that how we described anything, how we explain anything in this world. First, we talk about his name. The moment we introduce somebody, first we utter his name. He is Mr. So-and-so. Then I see his form, his height and his weight. Then some relationship, that he is my uncle, he is my friend. So some relationship with me, that way I explain. Or I explain with the help of what he does. He is engineer, he is doctor, he is lawyer. So these 4-5 things are there through which I describe a person or some object also. But here the problem is that which is beyond mind, it doesn't have any form, no relationship, no action, so no jati, kriya, sambandh, name, nothing. That's why teacher says that no mano, na tatra chakshur gacchati, no mano, na vidma, na vijani. And the teacher himself said, we also don't know how to explain. Only one way we can explain, tad viditad atho aviditad adhi. This is very, very important line. He says that entity by which I am able to speak, I am able to listen, it is not known. Tad viditad adhi means other than known. So whatever known things are there, that is not self, that is not that consciousness. That is for sure. Whatever is known, whatever is perceived, that is not consciousness, that is not Atma. Naturally, then that student may ask that, okay, I got it. Means other than known is unknown. So that Atman or that whatever, you have not uttered any name, you have not given any name, only you said Srotrasya Srotram. Whatever is that thing, it must be unknown because it is not known. Tad viditad atho. Then teacher says aviditad adi. Not even it is unknown. It is other than known and unknown. Oh. No, but why can't you say that it is unknown thing? He says there are so many things which can be called as unknown. Like I don't know how many sanskars, how many impressions are there in my mind. They are unknown. What will happen tomorrow? It is unknown. Hundreds of things are there which are not known to me. So that cannot be called as consciousness or Brahman. So this is the first point. Second point is, please listen to it very carefully. Unknown things become known in due course of time. So there are no actually two different categories, known and unknown. See, many thoughts are there which are not known to me, many sanskar. But when I express, it becomes known. Tomorrow what will happen, I don't know today. But tomorrow, it will become known. Are you getting this point? So, unknown and known, they are two stages of one thing only. So, consciousness is not like these things which become known and earlier or before they are unknown. And one more thing Shankaracharya says, this unknown becomes known, is the first thing, and second thing, whatever is known through sense organs, they all are limited. Yad drishyam tad alpam, yad alpam tad martyam. That which is alpa, alpam is conditioned by space and time and object. Anything you see in this world, that will be in time, in space and in a particular shape only. Desha kala vastu parichinna. This is the definition of limited thing. Limited means what? I am limited in time. Today I am there, tomorrow I may not be there. Limited in space. I am here, I am not there. And I am in this body only. So limited by object. So whatever is known in this world, that is conditioned by space, time and thing. And such thing cannot be eternal. It will be martyam, perishing. So yad drishyam tad alpam, yad alpam tad martyam. Martyam is that will die. So therefore, this consciousness is beyond known and unknown, other than known and unknown. Tad viditad atho aviditad adi. And teacher says, this is the only way by which I can explain to you. Because we have been taught in this fashion only. Iti shusruma dhiranam yenastad vichatakshare. So very interesting, very abstract. Because consciousness cannot be called as known, because you cannot see, it doesn't have any form, you cannot touch, you cannot eat, no sense organ can grasp it. And one more thing, it is beyond sense organ, so sense organs cannot catch. Beyond mind, that's why mind cannot catch. It is like, one torch is there, and in that torch, battery is fitted. Now, in that torch light, you can see all other things. But you cannot see that battery, because of which that light is coming out. Because it is behind that. So therefore, the language used in this Upanishad is not very, direct or straight. Because it is subjective knowledge. It is not a science of object only. So, tad viditad ado aviditad adi. Then, further he explains that he is taking each one separately. Yad vacha nabhyudatam yena vag abhyudyate tadeva brahma tam viddi. Now here he is using word Brahman. And for each sense organ he is writing one mantra. That Brahman is that because of which you speak, but this organ of speech cannot describe it. Yan manasa na manute yena ahur manomatam. Mind cannot think about it, but because of which mind thinks. Like that, all mantras are given. And he says that thing is Brahman. One question is there that, in this Brahman word is not used, but Brahman word is used. Tadeva Brahmatvam vidhi. Here says that. Till now I have not given the word, but now I am giving. That is Brahman. In English there is no word for Brahman. Brahman means that which is big, all pervading. Bruhatvat Brahman. And here very clearly Jiva Brahma Ekya has been pointed out. Because I am using my sense organs, I am using my mind, means something is there which is within me. Please note it. There is one question that Jiva Brahma Ekya has not been given here, but it is indirectly, in subtle way, it has been pointed out. I am seeing, I am listening, I am touching, means there must be something which is within me. That is I. And that I has been called as Brahman. So here very clearly, teacher says that this Jiva, that individuality, that individual, and that Brahman, they are not two separate. So, tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. Further he elaborates upon this. He says, generally people say that Rama, Krishna, Shiva, he is Brahman. Upasate means whom they worship. So they see that Brahman in particular idol, particular God. So here very clearly says that okay, for upasana, for puja, you can superimpose that Brahman bhav on particular picture, particular idol. But finally you will have to understand that whom you are worshipping, that is not something other than true self, other than consciousness. Since I cannot understand consciousness, that's why one form is given, and then I see Brahman in that. That is called Dvaita, duality. Dvaita, then Vishishtadvaita, and then Advaita. There are three levels. when I see Brahman as something else, somebody else, that is called Dvait. Then Vishishtadvait, I am part of Brahman. Like finger is part of my whole body. Same way the Jiva is part of Brahman. That is Vishishtadvait. But finally, when we contemplate more, then we will come to know that Brahman cannot be separate from me. And me means consciousness, not body. So here he says, Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi. Means that is the Brahman about which you are asking. That Brahman is the cause for all these, happenings. In this way, this first chapter, gets over. Then that student, he contemplates. And he comes with lot of, enthusiasm. And he says, teacher, I understood. I understood very well what is Brahman. Suveda word is there. Very well, I understood. Teacher said, if you have understood it very well, it means you have not understood. Why? He says, you must have understood something smaller, something other than this Brahman. Yadi manyase suvedeti daharameva nunanto natvam brahmano vetta. Why this teacher is saying this? Because, now it is little difficult to understand. He says, the student says, I have understood it very well. Suveda. Please listen to it very carefully. When I understand some object, then only I can say that I have understood it very well, or only some portion I have understood. Like I have traveled India. So North India I have traveled, but I have not traveled in South. So whenever there is an object, there is some gross thing, then I can say, I know this 50%, 70%. And if I understand fully, then I say I know 100%. So in case of object, please listen to it. I can say Suveda, I understood well, I understood 100%, 50%, 30%. But when I talk of subject, means that consciousness cannot be understood as Suveda. I know my existence, and in existence there are no parts. That 50% existence I know, 50% I don't know. When I talk of pure existence, which is consciousness, that cannot be known partially. And at very first place, it cannot be known by mind or sense organ. You must have understood something else, and you are talking that I have understood Brahman. In subjective knowledge, knowing process is not involved. I know one tree, in that knowing process is involved. Light is there, then eyes are there, then distance is there, then optical nerve is there. And so many things are involved. Then I know. But my existence I am knowing, tell me what process is there. Do you need light to know yourself? In darkness also I know myself. So very subtle point is saying that you are, I think, understanding some object as Brahman. So therefore, again you go and think. So he goes. Shankaracharya very, dramatically explained that student again go in solitary place, and then he meditated. And then he comes and he says, Manne Viditam. Now I got the point. what you are saying, I got it. So teacher says, okay, please tell your understanding. So he says, Naham manne suvedeti nona vedeti vedacha. Yonas tadveda tadveda nona vedeti vedacha. Again, this statement is also very confusing. He says, teacher, Naham manne suvedeti. I don't say that I know it very well. Okay, means you don't know. He said, no, I know. I know, aham manne. Then teacher says, okay, you tell, you explain. He said, that I cannot explain. I know it, but I don't know how to explain it. Since I am not explaining, it doesn't mean that I am ignorant. Naham manne suvedeti, nona vedeti vedacha. 2 times no has come. Meaning, first thing is, I know. Okay, means I have realized. But if you say to explain, that I cannot. Since I cannot explain, so don't think that I am ignorant. So in this way, he is talking about his realization. And he got the point. Because the moment he will use some word, then it will become limited. Tad viditad atho aviditad adi, already it has been said. And yad vacha na abhyuditam. So he is very correctly saying that you have to understand it subjectively, and the answer will be, I know, but I don't know. And further he says that anybody in this assembly, if he understands this truth as what I am saying, then he knows. So in this way only it can be explained, that I know, but I don't know. My existence I know, but in words I cannot put it. That's why he says, I don't know how to reveal that, how to explain it. So teacher was very happy. And in the next verse he says, Yasya matam tasya matam tasyam vedasa avidnyatam vijanatam vidnyatam avijanatam. Those who know, they don't know. Means those who explain, they don't know. And those who really know, they don't talk, or they don't put into words, because it cannot be. In this way, he said. And then further, very interesting word is there, pratibodha viditam matam. Now how to understand it? How can I realize? So pratibodha viditam matam is a verse where he is talking about a sadhana, a practice, and practice of meditation. In one word he says, if you want to know what is that Brahman, just go close to your mind. In mind you will see bodham. Bodham here means thought. Please listen to it very carefully. Bodham prati means in each thought the reflection of consciousness is there. And you go deep into that thought. You go deep into that thought formation, from where these thoughts are rising. Then you will get the consciousness. And one more thing, between two thoughts, try to see what is there between two thoughts. Thought is the gateway, in fact, like gateway of India. So this is the dwar. You have to go to your mind, and in mind you just observe your thoughts and observe the gap between two thoughts. then there you will find that consciousness is there. And from consciousness only these thoughts are rising and falling. Like in the ocean, waves they rise and fall. Ocean remains same. So pratibodha viditam matam. If you understand this thought and go beyond thought, then matam, you will understand. And once you realize this Brahman as your core of your personality, then amrutatvam hi vindate. You will get that immortality. Because thoughts are perishing, dying, rising and falling, but the substratum of this thought, which is consciousness, is constant. It is immortal. And by vidya, by this knowledge, Atma Vidya, you will understand. Vidya amrutam tvam hi vindate. By Atma Vidya, you will understand Atma, and by knowing Atma, you will get immortality. And in the last verse of second chapter, Upanishad says that ihached avedid atasatyam asti. Very nice, a golden, you can say, suggestion, advice. This, in this life only, we must realize our true nature. If we don't realize, then mahati vinashti, great loss or big tragedy. Such a golden opportunity was there to become immortal, but you missed it. Mahati vinashti. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichittadhira pretyasmad lokad amruta bhavanti. Those who realize Brahman, they see that Brahman is everywhere, in all beings it is there, all pervading it is. Not only it is behind my mind, but it is everywhere. And once he realizes, then after death, he doesn't take again what birth. He goes beyond birth and death. One person, he said, I have realized Brahman. Now please tell me, what will be my next birth? Now teacher, he laughed. He said, you have not understood Brahman. It is not Brahma Gyan, it is Brahma Gyan only. Because after realization, there is no rebirth. So Amruta Bhavanti, he become immortal. Then in chapter 3rd, there is one story. And that story about Devata and Asur. These Devatas, they won the war, but they developed ego. Actually, they could defeat all these demons because of Brahman, because of this Param Tattva. But Indra, etc., they thought that it is my strength, it is my power. So now a story form, In first chapter, whatever has been said, it was in abstract, amurta. But in story form, it has become murta. That same Brahman, which cannot be, explained in words, he takes one form. And Yaksha, he appears in that form. And Pujya Gurudev very jokingly used to say, he used to dramatize all these things so well. He said all these Devatas, Indra, Chandra, Surya, Agni, all these Devatas, they were having party in the lawn. And they were talking about their, victory. But suddenly they saw there is one unusual form is there. Somebody is there. Then Indra said, who is this? So Agni there said, okay, I will go and just check it. Who is this? And then that Yaksha asked, who are you? Now you must have studied all that mantra. Who are you? That Agni says, who are you? Yaksha said, first tell me who you are. Then Agni says, I am fire. Yaksha said, what can you do? He said, I can dry all the oceans and rivers and everything. I can burn everything. Then that Yaksh took one grass of blade, one blade of grass, गवत त्याला म्हणतात मराठी, घास, and he put it. That Agni tried to burn it, but nothing happened. And Gurudev used to say that on that grass there was dew, water droplet was there. Agni tried, he couldn't dry that one droplet of water. ओस की बूंद भी सुखा नहीं पाया अग्नि. Then he understood, oh, he is more powerful than me. Then he goes back, then again Vayu comes, then he also cannot, understand. Then finally Indra goes. But Indra stands there for a while. And then suddenly there is one lady, she appears. And she is Parvati. She is actually symbol of Brahma Vidya. With the help of Parvati, Brahma Vidya, what is Yaksha, Brahman, Indra understand. Now actually all this story is nothing but, in the beginning we have seen na tatra chakshu gacchati, na vak gacchati. These are all presiding data of sense organs. Like Chakshusha Surya Dev is presiding deity of eyes. So in the beginning it is said eyes cannot see. In a story form it is said that fire couldn't understand. Indra represent mind. Through mind only we can understand Brahman finally. And that also with the help of Brahma Vidya. So that Parvati is Brahma Vidya, Indra is that mind. When mind is blessed with Brahma Vidya, then we can understand. So then that Indra understood who is that Yaksha. So all these lot of things are there. And in the last chapter we see there are some upasanas. Upasana means, that student is insisting, please tell me what is that Brahman, what is that Brahman. Please give some hint or some support, some example. So Upanishad gives some examples. They are called as Upama or Adesh. So Brahman is like lightning, like flash, flash. So sometimes in the meditation we get the flash. Flash means some, for fraction of second we understand what is consciousness. Lightning, for how long that lightning is there? Just for a moment. So he says it is like lightning. Or how we open eyes and we see the thing. And we close, then we don't see. Same way where our mind becomes very, very quiet. Then we see. But again, when mind is disturbed, it is like closing our eyes. We don't see the thing. So these are all only examples, not exactly whatever has been said is happening. So it is like lightning, some Adhidaiva or Adhyatma. Now Adhidaiva word is used, but that Adhidaiva is not equal to that word which is used in Gita, because one question is there. There Adhidaiva is Purusha, consciousness. But here Adhidaiva is this lightning, phenomenal, forces or cosmic forces. Lightning is one of them. So these are Adhidaiva. See, you must have heard Adhyatma, Adhibhautik and Adhidaiva. So here this lightning is Adhidaiva. Not Purusha. In Bhagavad Gita, consciousness is called Adhidaiva. So very different. So in this way, some examples are given through which we can understand how the experience of Brahman happens and what happens in that Brahman. एक झलक दिखती, झलक like lightning. And in the end, that student asks, Upanishadam bho bruhi, tell me what is Upanishad. Now somebody may ask, whole Upanishad has been taught and now why he is asking? He was sleeping in the class or what? He was dozing off or what? He was not attentive. Why he is saying Upanishadam? Please tell me Upanishad. So Shankaracharya says that he is very intelligent, very sharp. He cannot sleep in the class. Don't think that he is like us. Actually, he wants to know, please tell me, is any other thing remaining? Because, or you must say that now I have told everything. कुछ और बचा है? If it is there, then please tell. Then in the end he says, Satyam Ayatanam, etc. All these things which are required, which are needed to realize this Brahman. So some sadhanas that has been said. Vedangani, all that is there. So in this way, this is the thought process of this entire Upanishad. Okay, in short, I told you. I think I have answered this question. I have replied this. He himself used the word Brahman, and that Brahman has to be Jiva, because Jiva is here within, because something is within me because of which I am seeing or I am talking. So that Jiva is Brahman. Tadeva Brahma Tvam Viddhi. Brahman is not outside, but Jiva itself is Brahman. So he himself used the word Brahman. Because I think that student know Atma word. He doesn't know the Brahman word. And therefore he doesn't use the word Atma. Because everyone says Atma, Atma, Atma. And you know, same thing can be called by many names. Same person is there. Different people call by different name. So what is harm in that? Sometimes in Upanishad you will see Sat word is used. Sadeva Somya Idamagra Asit. In the beginning Sat was there. In other Upanishad it is said Atma was there. In one Upanishad it is said Brahman was there. In one Upanishad it is said Prajapati was there. See, all these Upanishads are nothing but Rishi Munis reveling. They are reveling in their own, ecstasy. So they are not bothered about one word, what word we should use. See, if Shankaracharya writes, then definitely, consciously he will use one word and he will avoid other word. But here Upanishadic Rishis, they are sitting in meditation and whatever word is coming to their mind, they are just, expressing that. There is no hard and, fast rule that everywhere Brahman should be used or Atman is used. Here, actually, he is praying. Both of them, they are praying. That first is, may that Brahman bless me. Anirakarot. He should not reject me. He should accept me. Meaning what? See, one teacher is there and many people, they want to become disciple. But teacher has got this choice. He can choose one, he could reject other. So those who are blessed one, they will be selected. So here this student, he says, please don't reject me. Anirakaro. Accept me with whatever, flaws and faults, whatever I have. I will improve myself, but don't reject. Anirakaro. And same way, may I not reject you. Means I should have full faith in your existence. Maham Brahma Nirakurya. That Brahman is there, that faith should be there in me. So I should have faith in me, and please you also have faith in me that I will improve. Just by seeing some, flaws, don't reject me. Ma anirakarot. This is the thought behind this prayer. Okay, this is right because of that principle, because of presence of that I worship. But knowing that what I am worshipping, I have understood it correctly. To put it simply, just as there is an I behind I, there is an intention behind my intention of worshipping. No. Here the only thing is, there is no discussion about intention. Whatever you are worshipping is not outside. That is the main thing. That God or whatever, that principle or whatever, the truth is not outside. That he wants to say. That's why it is said, Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Nedam Yadina Upasate. Of course, a devotee, in the beginning, we have to have bhav that Brahman is there. But finally, we will have to understand that whom I was worshipping, like Ramakrishna Paramahans, he used to worship Mother Kali with all the flowers and all that. But in the end, he used to worship himself. Because he has realized that he is not something different. That consciousness is not in one form. Like Tukaram Maharaj says, Adi Kela Satsanga Tuka Dala Panduranga. So that thought is there. Those who have got half knowledge, they will only say that, I know. But those who are really understood that, they cannot explain. In our scripture, the example is given. Muka Aswadanavat. There is a dumb person, dumb. Now you give one jaggery. Jaggery कहते हैं ना गुड़ को, गुड़. And now you tell him, you ask him, what is the taste of that sugar? Now he cannot explain. Because one thing is he cannot. Here, same way, same thing is there. One who realizes, he knows. He is not ignorant. Please note it. But it cannot be expressed. That's why he says that he doesn't know. He doesn't know means he is ignorant or he is confused. That meaning is not there. Pratibodha means in every thought that immortal truth is sitting. Immortal truth is there behind each thought. So through thought only we can go to that. So that is the explanation. Here Adidaivatam isn't just an example. But in Bhagavad Gita, Adidaivatam means that Daiva which is sitting in the heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Viruddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. So that is different, here it is different. There is no need to connect that, okay? Many times what happened, word remaining same, but with the context and reference, the word changes its meaning. So here, though Adhidaiva word is there, but meaning is very different. Correct meaning is mind is working because of Brahman. That is the first point, that is right. And second is that realization may happen like lightning. Glimpse you may get. That's why that example is given. See, it includes nature of Brahman, lightning. In lightning, what happens? Everything becomes so clear. Same way in the realization, everything becomes so clear. Who am I, and what is this body, and what is this world? So it is like lightning. In that light, everything is comprehended, known. Same way, when that Brahma Gyan happened, everything becomes so clear. And second thing, that experience may happen in one moment, like lightning. So these two things we should understand by this example. See, these are all examples given just to understand. It is not exactly, again and again I am telling, it is upama. Like some simile is given. See here, all love means there are two meanings. One is a realized person. What is his experience? That he is not this body, mind, intellect, but he is consciousness. Okay, this is the realization. He is the true self, Atma. And everyone loves Atma or not? Tell me. Everyone loves oneself or not? So I am going little, via. What is the realization of that Brahmagyani? I am Atma. And Atma is loved by everyone. In Hindi they say ना, सबको अपनी जान प्यारी होती है. We love ourselves the most. Now he has become self of all. Please note it. He has become self of all. And everybody loves himself or herself. So he will be loved by all or not. Now he is not a person only. Please note it. Brahmajnani is not only person. He is all pervading truth. That truth which is loved by everyone. That's why samvanchati. And another meaning is samvanchati means most of the people. That way you can say majority of people, they adore him, they respect him, they love him. Those who are sattvic, those who are good people. Of course, you have given the example of Lord Krishna. Krishna was not loved by Kauravas. So those who have got, impure mind, tamoguni, they will not like. So as a Brahmagyani, if you take him as a person, then all devotees, good-minded people, they will love him. And we have seen to Gurudev, so many people used to love. They used to sacrifice everything for him. Like for Krishna, all the gopikas, they are ready to give up their pranas. So few people are there, they don't love, but otherwise everyone loves. So most of them, that we have to see. Saving knowledge here, it means that something more, already I told you, which is required, which is needed to understand Upanishadic knowledge, that he wants to know. So that is the correct meaning. It doesn't mean that he wants to listen again to Upanishad. Some auxiliary thing, some remaining thing, that he wants to know. So that is the meaning. I have not seen the Marathi. मराठीमध्ये मी पाहिलं नाही त्या पुस्तकात काय लिहिलं आहे. But I will see and tell you. You are Brahman. This is the core message or sentence. So the core message is that only. Brahma Vidya, Atman and Brahman, there are no two separate consciousness, two different consciousness. They are one. That is the main theme. The question itself. Somebody, may talk about mind and sense organs and pranas, but hardly, very rarely people will go beyond mind and ask who is behind mind. So I think the question itself is very fascinating. And main thing is it cannot be explained fully by words and all that, because so many times it is said yan manasa na manute yat chakshusha na pashyati. So this is the main point he is telling. In other Upanishads, there is a description of world, creation, but here you see there is no description of any other thing other than your true self. So this is the difference between other Upanishads and this Upanishad. See, now it is the freedom of the teacher, how he teaches. We cannot ask this question. Like in Gita also we find, in the second chapter itself he talks about Atmagyan. And then he comes down. He talks about Trigun and he talks about eating and all that. In 16th chapter, 17th chapter. Then 3rd chapter he talks about Karma Yoga. Then 12th chapter Bhakti Yoga. So it is his freedom how he can present in a best way, So there is no particular reason why he said. From top to bottom like that. Sometimes from gross to subtle, but here the method is from subtle to gross. So he has chosen this way. We cannot have any reason for that. He has contemplated on the verse which teacher taught him, that tad viditad ado aviditad adi na tatra chakshur gacchati na vak gacchati. And then he realizes that Brahman, and then he says that this realization can be explained in these contradictory, words only. I do not know, but I know. It is limitation of words. That's the only thing. So where is the ignorant? When ignorant says that I don't know, it means he really doesn't know. But when wise person said that he doesn't know, meaning he doesn't know how should I explain to you so that you will understand. That is the meaning. I don't know. Both of them they are saying, I don't know. But the meaning is totally different.